Pay close attention, because what I'm about to explain has turned into one of the most chaotic and talked about situations in recent memory. At first, it may sound like ordinary celebrity drama, but the deeper you look, the more complicated it becomes. The surprising part is that Claressa Shields reportedly wrote a diss track aimed at Remy Ma before Remy even paid attention to her. Yet despite putting in the effort to create the song, she never had the courage to release it. This isn't just gossip or random rumors floating around online. There are clear signs and details suggesting something bigger was happening behind the scenes. And when you connect them, the full picture starts to make sense. One key detail many people overlook is how 50 Cent became aware of Maserati Bud's involvement with Claressa. According to the story, Claressa herself played a role in revealing everything. She allegedly told Bud to send the song to 50 Cent and ask him to promote it. That decision turned out to be a major mistake. When Bud reached out and shared the track, 50 Cent immediately noticed something unusual. He questioned why Bud was suddenly asking for a favor like this, especially since he had never done so before. That simple question raised suspicion and began to unravel the entire situation. Claressa has always presented herself as confident, bold, and unstoppable. As a champion boxer and Olympic gold medalist, she built her image on strength and fearlessness. She often spoke about being unmatched and ready to take on anyone, whether in sports or in personal disputes. Her public persona was all about being tough, outspoken, and unafraid of confrontation. However, behind the scenes, the story appears very different. Reports suggest she was quietly working on music with Maserati Bud, writing lyrics and preparing a diss track targeting Remy Ma before any public conflict existed. What makes this situation unusual is that she seemed to prepare everything in advance. She created the song, planned the message, and got it ready, but then stopped herself from releasing it. The question is, why? If she was so confident, why hold back? The likely reason is that she realized the consequences. The moment the song went public, people would start asking questions. They would want to know why she was working so closely with Bud, how the track came together, and what their real relationship was. In other words, the song wouldn't just be entertainment, it would expose personal details she may not have wanted to share. The situation became even more complicated because of 50 Cent's connection to Remy Ma. It's widely known that they have a history and mutual respect. So asking him to promote a diss track against her wasn't just risky, it was almost guaranteed to fail. It showed a lack of awareness or poor judgment. Instead of helping her, it brought attention to the very thing she may have wanted to keep hidden. When 50 Cent questioned Bud directly, it reportedly put him in a difficult position. Under pressure, he admitted the truth about his connection with Claressa. At that moment, what may have been speculation turned into something much more real. 50 Cent, known for being strategic, didn't react immediately or publicly. Instead, he kept the information in mind, waiting for the right time, if it ever became useful. Another important part of this story is understanding Claressa's motivations. She came from a difficult background and worked hard to achieve success. After reaching the top in boxing, she likely wanted to expand her influence and be recognized in other areas, including entertainment. Meeting someone like Maserati Bud, who had connections and access to influential people like 50 Cent, may have seemed like an opportunity. It wasn't just about the person, it was about the doors that could open through that connection. However, that decision led to a complicated situation. The diss track, instead of being a powerful move, became something she couldn't use. Releasing it would raise too many questions, while keeping it hidden made the effort pointless. She found herself stuck with a finished project that had nowhere to go. Meanwhile, Remy Ma eventually became aware of the situation and responded quickly. With just a short verse, she managed to shift the narrative and gain the upper hand. Her response was direct and effective, ending the conversation before it could grow further. In contrast, Claressa remained silent despite claims that she had a response ready. She likely chose not to release anything because it would bring unwanted attention to the backstory. In the end, this situation is less about a simple feud and more about choices and consequences. It shows how quickly things can become complicated when personal ambitions, relationships, and public image collide. What seemed like a bold plan turned into a problem that couldn't be solved easily. Instead of gaining attention in a positive way, it created questions that still remain unanswered. This situation was never really about choosing between two people. It was about choosing between two different paths. On one side, there was stability, success, and a solid reputation built over time. On the other, there was access to powerful connections, especially the chance to get close to someone like 50 Cent. For Claressa, that second option likely seemed more exciting. Money and achievements can grow over time, but access to that level of influence and visibility is much harder to obtain. It often comes through personal connections, private moments, and being part of circles that aren't open to everyone. So she chose that path, working behind the scenes, building relationships, and trying to move closer to a bigger platform. But choices like that usually come with consequences. Things that are hidden rarely stay hidden forever. Eventually, the truth finds its way out. In this case, the very person she hoped would help her gain attention ended up being someone who quietly held on to the truth about what really happened. 50 Cent didn't need to expose anything publicly. He simply understood the situation. And once he knew the full story, the outcome was already decided. Many people are still waiting for a dramatic moment where everything explodes. But in reality, the damage has already been done. The situation has already collapsed. It just hasn't fully reached everyone yet. Over time, more people will understand what happened, and the picture will become clearer. Another important part of this story is the way Claressa reacted. She showed anger toward others in the boxing world over small things, like training to a song or reacting to posts online, yet didn't directly respond to the person who actually challenged her. That contrast is hard to ignore. Instead of addressing the real issue, she focused on the audience and their reactions. It almost seemed like she was trying to control how people responded rather than dealing with the core problem. The reason may be simple. Responding directly would mean releasing her own track, and that would bring unwanted attention to everything behind it. So instead of stepping into the spotlight, she stepped back and stayed quiet. What once looked like confidence began to look more like hesitation. This shift has affected how people see her. She built her image on being fearless and outspoken, someone who would never back down. But when a real challenge appeared, that image started to crack. In interviews and public appearances, it became more noticeable that something was off. The strong persona she created didn't match her actions in this situation, and people began to question it. There's also another layer to this story that people are starting to notice. The collaboration with Maserati Bud didn't seem like a typical professional arrangement. It appeared more personal, more informal, and not based on standard business agreements. In industries like music and entertainment, the line between personal and professional relationships often blurs, and that can lead to complicated situations when things go wrong. What makes this even more difficult is that much of the information reportedly came from someone she trusted. This wasn't an outsider trying to damage her reputation. It was someone directly involved who shared details openly. That makes it harder to deny or dismiss. It becomes less about rumors and more about a clear sequence of events pointing back to her decisions. At the end of the day, this situation shows how actions can build up over time and lead to unexpected outcomes. Every step she took, from working on the track to choosing how to respond, played a role in where things ended up. No one forced these choices on her. They were all decisions she made along the way. What makes it more unfortunate is that her talent and achievements are real. She has worked hard and earned respect in her field. But success in one area doesn't protect someone from mistakes in another. Reputation isn't only about skill, it's also about judgment and consistency. Right now, it seems like she hasn't fully accepted how this situation looks from the outside. Instead of addressing it directly, she continues to avoid the main issue. That's what makes the situation feel unresolved. It's not just about the song or the conflict. It's about missed opportunities and choices that changed how people see her. In the end, this isn't just a story about drama. It's a reminder that chasing influence and recognition too quickly can sometimes cost more than expected. She was already successful and respected. There was no need to rush or take risks that could damage her image. But in trying to move faster and reach higher, she created a situation that became difficult to control.